Hello and welcome to today's LOL Esports Roundup, where we're going to cover a bit of news from the last 24 hours, as well as what took place at MSI 2023, bracket stage day 7, 6, whichever. Um, Definitely one-sided affairs. But first is news, and finally, non-Western news to talk about. I love talking about Eastern teams as well. Top Esports officially, Crescent, their head coach for the last few years, is out. This past split, he was relieved of his duties towards the end. I did feel like Top were not the same after that. He went 85 and 48, so 85 wins, 48 losses in the regular season in the LPL during his time as Top Esports coach. Over his entire career, he's 123 wins, 102 losses, and 9 ties. The replacement is Dian. Dian was the coach of BLG at the start of this past split. He was relieved mid-split. He is 64 wins and 48 losses over his career. He's been a coach since, I believe, 2020, starting with Suning, and Suning became BLG. They became Weibo. So, I don't know. I mean, mid-coach, I didn't really like what they did with BLG last year. So if he is the same coach from that time, I do have some question marks. Crescent did very well, but did take a leave of absence. Hopefully everything is all right with him. DRX have officially announced that Duck Dom will not be with them this upcoming split. We do remember that Duck Dom had an injury in spring that caused him to miss some time. Seldom do you actually see a player with an injury that hampers their play, but it was an arm injury. DRX obviously had a lot of problems in addition to that. Duck Dom's numbers with the injury in mind: a 2.3 KDA, 8.9 CS per minute, 60 KP, 395 gold per minute, 493 damage per minute. On average, at 15 minutes, he and Barrel, so while Duck Dom by himself was down 550 gold, 12 CS, and 160 XP, played 12 champions in 38 games. I do think Duck Dom was not up to snuff before his injury, but even after it, DRX were just a tire fire. I mean, kind of like Nongshim of last year, if you will, with some decent players in Rascal and Krakow. Yeah, because Willers was Sandbox. Krakow, Fate, Duck Dom, Barrel. I mean, Barrel and Rascal are decent players, right? So, DRX obviously underperforming. Playeta is the backup. Playeta played for Challenger. He also played in 7 LCK games for Duck Dom at first when he was injured, but these numbers are from the Challenger regular season. They're very good. He is probably better than the Challenger level, but what did he show at the LCK level was a mixed bag. He's only like 20 years old. 6.2 KDA, 9.7 CS per minute, 72.9 KP, so very involved. DRX Challenger definitely fighting around him. 455 gold per minute, 623 damage per minute, 65 gold up, down 1 CS, up 55 XP at 15 minutes. So laning wise, not exceptional, not getting big advantages. In the mid to late game, he's out team fighting his opponents, and that is what is giving him his gold and damage and things like that, because laning wise he is not setting himself apart. 6 solo kills in 40 games, played 9 champions. So DRX did not announce who will be the replacement for Duck Dom. I'm only including who's next on the depth chart. We'll cross that bridge if we get to it, and it's not played and it's somebody else, then we'll discuss it again. Recap, BLG and JDG start us off. So I went 2-0 on my predictions. Didn't think it would be a 3-0 for JDG. I thought it would be a 3-2. I did think Knight and Kanavi was going to be the difference, but in the end it was Ruler and Knight that were the difference. Ruler, 35 kills, 5 deaths, 32 assists, 38% of damage, 1100 DPM across this entire series, as the bot lane of JDG, especially in Game 1 and Game 2, gapped the living hell out of BLG. It was disgusting. in Game 1 and Game 2. The reason why I'm not mentioning Game 3, I did feel like missing into his face-off at times in Game 3, getting hooked twice by On, which actually gave BLG an advantage in the bot lane. And then Ruler would team fight on Zeri and dig his way out. He and Knight on Syndra. Speaking of Knight, 22, 7, and 29. So the two carries for JDG went 57, 12, and 61. Elk led the way for BLG with 30% of damage, going 11, 17, and 16. So Ruler and Knight, like Game 3, absolutely dug JDG out of a massive hole. Combined for 30 kills in this game. Game 3 specifically, absolutely cracked. Ruler did play Aphelios, Jinx, and Zeri, all to a super high level. Honestly, I said in the Discord, and I believe it, that there was a statement of JDG, this is their tournament to lose. And it's a bold statement, obviously, because I'm not afraid to say BLG were the fourth best of the Eastern teams, because despite, and I said this yesterday, despite me thinking BLG still can win the tournament, and I still do think that's possible, they had the fourth least likely of the four teams. You know, I had them second in my rankings, but that was the way the bracket and everything looked. I mean, this is a disaster when it comes to that. But nevertheless, like the statement by Ruler, like the way Ruler's playing right now, there's nobody in this tournament playing better than Ruler in any role on any team. He is playing elite League of Legends right now, and I don't think Guma and I don't think Pays can match it. Now, in other ways, can somebody maybe match JDG? It's possible, but I don't think it's going to be through 80 carry. Really, I mean, Kanavi had some really, I mean, Sean actually stole two Barons in Game 3 against Kanavi, which is a problem. Don't get me wrong. Kanavi taking his foot off the gas there, getting a little lackadaisical. Outside of that, though, I thought Sean sucked. Excuse me, got his Nidalee twice. What did he do with it? Nothing, really. And the fact of the matter is, and I've said this before, and some people consider it disrespect, if you actually look at Shun's career numbers on Nidalee and Kindred, they are not that good. Sure, they're pocket picks. Sure, people ban them because of comfort, I guess, but when push comes to shove, when he actually plays them, when it counts for wins and losses, you might as well flip a coin. And if that's the case, I wouldn't, why ban it, right? He's not that dominant. He did not look good. And Kanavi, outside of those two steals, definitely got the better of him. Knight, way better than Yagao. Yagao had some moments on the Ahri. Had a triple kill, maybe even a quadra. But other than that, I thought Yagao was gapped by Knight. Top lane, Bin in 369. I thought that was a little Bin favored. Bin had some really nice plays. I think even had maybe one or two solo kills across this series. And came through in a big way. But as far as, I mean, the top side of the rift, this was like, that was just a distant thing, right? Because like mid and 80 carry, just the gap was huge. It was just huge. Elk dying a lot, 17 times. One could say, well, that's not too many. He died at the worst times in team fights, and he didn't have it today. And, you know, a lot of people probably will criticize him. But I believe, and I've said this before, especially about players going to their first international event when they're younger, this may be the first time he's outside of China in his life. You know, you got to give some people some grace here. And hopefully BLG, because, I mean, they're not dead yet. They still play G2 in a couple days. But they, you know, they need to grow from this, learn from this, and then return to the LPL, win again, and go to Worlds and show, hey, we have taken that next step. We are more prepared mentally for this event. I think that is really important. I feel like that's a nuanced thing that not many people give players. But, you know, just simply that. I think Elk really just played absolutely dog today. Golden Guardians in C9. C9 went 3-1. Eminez was my MVP. Berserker went 19-5-18 with 24% of the team's damage. Sven 1-7-38. So C9 bot lane combined 20, 12, and 56. Stixxay 15-11-10 in the loss, 26% of damage. Those are really low damage percentage numbers, aren't they? And that means that the teams played a very passive style. And not only that, they also played a style that spread the wealth when it came to damage. Everybody participating at a similar level, right? We're in the 20s here. So, I mean, that's pretty clear. I thought Game 1 and Game 2, MNES was the MVP for sure. His Silas in the early game getting C9 ahead, and then in the mid game picking the right alties with the Silas really came through in a big way. On the Maokai, I mean, he was able to take Maokai ulti to really zone team fights. I've been saying this since Worlds. Maokai is OP. If Silas is banned, Maokai should be picked. If Maokai is picked, you need to pick the Silas into it. If you are on red side and you can have both, pick both so you don't end up screwed. I still think that kind of holds true. I know the AP ratios aren't quite the same anymore for Maokai, but it is still a great ulti to have as you make your jungler glorified support anyways in many cases. So that was very good out of MNES. And then in Game 2 on the Annie, he had a great flank around Baron that secured the objective for C9 because really Golden Guardians had the edge in Game 2. They were in a winning position, but Gory on Nautilus got caught twice in the mid game that allowed C9 to have an opportunity to take Baron. MNES set up. MNES was able to flash ulti or flashy, whatever, onto the Golden Guardians as they tried to, enter around Baron to stop C9, and that caused a team fight that allowed C9 to not only get a ton of gold from kills, but also take the Baron and then win the game eventually, right? So those two, games really solidified it for me for MNES because I didn't think Berserker really stood out all that much in this series. Like I said, only 24% of damage, 500 DPM. Game 2, only 8,000 damage on Xayah. Just very, very, vegan, if you will. Game 3, Golden Guardians looked better. They won, right? Licorice played exceptional on the Poppy. He was able to get two very, very solid flanks that allowed Golden Guardians an opportunity to win because the game was very close. C9 tried to force a Baron. This play sticks out to me because they even mentioned, they pointed out, hey, there's a ward over here that C9 don't see in their jungle. It allowed Licorice to get behind them on the Poppy and then ulti two C9 players away from the pit, allowing River to take the Baron, and then they were able to roll on from there. Especially after River, I believe, had the Kazakhs in Game 3 and got out to a very early lead. Honestly, it was probably the best Kazakhs performance I've seen this tournament. I am not a Kazakhs fan. I know I mentioned that before, and somebody in the comments had suggested that it has some value. I have not seen that yet. I'm sure in solo queue it has value, but at least in these pro games, I really have not felt that Kazakhs is all that great of a pick. Game 4, C9 just dominated the shit out of Golden Guardians. I think they're up like 9k gold at 12 minutes or something. Absolutely not. Well, actually, it was 9.5 at 14 or 15 minutes. Like, absolutely beat the crap out of Golden Guardians. It was massive. Berserker on Varus, able to really impose his will on Stixxay, solo killing him even in the late laning phase. MNES getting the better Gory, Blabber all over the place on Nidalee. Fudge was kind of on an island on Scion a couple games and Gragas as well. But that's all he needed to do, He didn't need to actually be all that involved in this game and even in the series as they put carries in Blabber's hands, and he was able to do something with them. I predicted a 3-1. It ended up being 3-1. I thought this was going to be a lot closer. It was not close at all. And we'll see what happens. Tomorrow there are no games, so the roundup will probably be shorter unless there's a lot of news. It'll just be predicting and talking about BLGG too. So Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and thank you for watching.